Hey, and welcome to another episode of AT Banter.
Banter, banter.
Hey, this is, of course, the podcast. No, wait, no. Yes, this is the podcast where we, I see I'm getting my podcast mixed up because of this crossover idea. This is, of course, the podcast where we talk with advocates and members of the disability community to educate and inspire better conversation about disability. Hey, my name is Rob Minot, and if it sounds like we don't know what we're doing, it's because we don't. This is, of course, we're trying something a little different. Mr. Ryan Fleury is on vacation as of today, and so I've got a guest host stepping in to help me out with today's show, and that is none other than Sean Marcellet from Blind Beginnings and the Limitless Podcast. Welcome, and thank you so much for helping out today.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. Happy to help.
Well, yeah. You know, geez, the long and storied tale of this particular episode. I won't bore the audience with it, but mainly because I kind of messed up. But yeah, we actually recorded a version of this podcast a few months back. And through circumstances, it got
Call
lost.
it technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's right. Technical difficulties. But it actually, you know what? It's going to work out for the better, anyways, because we have got a great show lined up, and it's going to be really super interesting. So maybe you could step in to Ryan's duties here. He usually tells the audience what the heck we're doing today. So maybe you could tell us just what the heck we are doing today.
We are talking about blind soccer, which I am so excited to learn more about. And we've got some great guests. We've got Jill, who is a frequent co-host of the Limitless podcast, and her soccer coach and a fellow player. So we're in for a treat.
Excellent. Well, let's waste no more time and dive right in and welcome them to the show.
Welcome back to the podcast, Jill.
Thank you.
Jill, do you want to introduce our other guests today?
Sure. So today we have national head coach for the women's blind soccer team, Matt Greenwood.
Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
And then we have our co-captain and defensive left back player, I believe, right, Ramya?
Yeah, you got it. Hey.
Welcome, Ramya.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Okay, Jill, why don't you start us off and tell us, how did you get involved with blind soccer?
Yeah, so like blind soccer was something I always wanted to try, but like there isn't really a lot of programs for it, especially growing up, let alone like, you know, anywhere right now except for in Toronto. So I think it was back in July, I believe, just came across like a random Facebook post looking, and it was talking about like building like a women's national blind soccer team. I'm like, what is this? Like I was so instantly excited. And I hadn't heard anything except for that like random Facebook post I came across. And there's a little like application form you could fill out. So I'm like, okay, well, it can't hurt. Like I just kind of thought like, why not give it a shot and see what happens. So I just filled out the form, and then within a couple of days, heard back from Matt and our captain Hillary, and we set up a call, and they kind of walked me through blind soccer a bit. And before I knew it, I was heading out to Toronto early August for like to go kind of try it out and go to a practice that they hold every year. And yeah, it just kind of happened so randomly and quickly, but here we are.
Wow. Okay. Ramya, how about you? Have you been playing blind soccer for a long time? How did you get involved?
Yeah, so I think the exact date was July 21st, 2021, because I went back into my email chain to figure out what my first practice was. It was very nostalgic. And yeah, so it's been a few years. Now, obviously, that was off the end of the pandemic, so we were just trying to keep regular practices going here around the Greater Toronto area. I guess like the headquarters of blind soccer, if you will, is in Pickering, Ontario. So that's just east of Toronto, and that's where like our most regular club is. at Pickering Football Club, and that's where Matt coaches us. So I've been around for 4-ish years, and this was the first like big international thing we did together. But between starting and now, we've also had just recreational local tournaments like the Parasport Games in Ontario. We've gone to Lake Joe for a couple different like recreational competitions or training camps as well. So yeah, it's building.
And actually, I forgot to have both Jill remind our listeners about your level of vision and curious about yours as well, Ramya. So, Jill, why
Sure.
don't you remind us what your vision is?
Sure. I have a condition called retinopathy of prematurity. So I was low vision, and now I'm fully blind in both eyes.
Okay. And how about you, Ramya?
I have Leber's congenital amaurosis, which is, long story short, a genetic condition. So I still have partial sight, but in blind soccer, we all have eye shades on anyway, so we can get into that. Yeah.
Okay, great. And Matt, how you're not blind, so how did you get involved in blind soccer?
Oof, that's a long story, but the Coles notes would be I'd first heard about blind soccer back in 2002, 2003 when I lived in the UK. Um, Moved to Canada to Ontario in 2006 and really saw sort of a lack of accessible programming in soccer clubs in general. So started to sort of push that agenda a little bit. I was working with the Provincial Soccer Association at the time. And then around 2012, 2013 was when the stream of blind soccer really sort of started to crystallize with me as something really significant that we could really do some good things with. It was part of the Pan Am Games in Toronto in 2015, but it was the only sport that Canada as a nation didn't have a representative team at. And we tried to put something together, but it wasn't really supported, unfortunately. But it's a legacy of those games. We were left with the rebound boards that we use for all of our competitions now, and a nice set of audible soccer balls that we could distribute to local clubs and schools. And from there, it's slowly built. As Ramya said, we've kind of got a ground zero right now in Pickering, but we have a program about to start up in Ottawa. We've got a small program in London, one in Toronto at Toronto High Park Football Club, and very soon we'll have a more established program out in BC at Jill's local club at Burnaby BC, so Burnaby FC. And then we're also look to do some other programming startups in other provinces. So yeah, a bit of a scenic route to where I got to landing with blind soccer.
So that's a lot of different clubs. Are all the players blind in each of those locations, or is it a mix of blind and sighted players?
The right now, they would all be blind within that sort of classification range of B1, B2, and B3 that Ramy had sort of mentioned earlier, that there are those different ranges. When we first started up, we did try to get to sort of a critical mass of numbers. It's really hard to have a little game if there's only 2 or 3 players. But if you're able to throw in a couple of sighted players and put eye shades on them, then you can get to some more viable numbers to have a nice little scrimmage. But really, since the pandemic, we've been able to manage and grow the program with all of the players either being at a B1, B2, or B3 classification.
Awesome. Okay, I'm already going off script, but I'm really curious. How do sighted players respond when you put blindfolds on them and say, play soccer?
I think you get kind of you get the full range. You definitely get the ones that will just stand still, frozen, and just panic that what the heck is happening around me, and they hear a lot of noises and just don't know how to adjust. You get the others at the other end of the spectrum that just really don't take any consideration of the risk and the dangers that are involved, and just run headlong after the ball and forget that there might be other people around them or goalposts that they don't want to run into. So when we set up a session, particularly with new players, of any vision level, a big focus is on the safety and the communication aspect. So having them orientate themselves around the field. But what we do find is that a lot of sighted players, when they then peel the eye shades back and kind of get back to their level of vision, are really kind of overwhelmed by how challenging, how physical, how busy blind soccer is, because of the amount of information that you have to take in now through your ears and through touch versus sight, because soccer is such a visual game when you're scanning the field to to work out where the players are to pass to, where the next tackle might be coming from, and even if you've got the ball at your feet. So taking away that is a huge adjustment for them, and
Mhm.
something that our players really adapt to really nicely, really quickly.
So, Jill, did you play soccer as a child? And if so, what was it like to play blind for the first time?
So I played a lot with like my siblings just in our backyard. So like my twin sister and then my two older brothers mostly. And like I could see, I was low vision back then, so I could see not well, but I could see enough to like, I think that's the ball over there. Like maybe let's go over there and find it. Um, and like my brothers were the kind of people where like they just pick you up and run with you to steal the ball from you. So I was used to like the kind of, I'm gonna say quote unquote more contact side of soccer in that
Hmm.
way. And I did play well after a lot of fighting to be able to play in the like the youth like local soccer club league because they wouldn't let me play being low vision because they thought I was gonna get hurt. Excuse me, which like I did, but it was fine. But I had to quit after I played for 4 years in the like the youth league, but I had to quit due to like losing my remaining vision. So when I came across like the kind of the national blind soccer team and like Pickering and like, went out to Toronto and played for the first time, I like it was because we played in it like at Pickering, like Ramya said, it's a dome, so it's
Hmm.
like the roof is literally like this big tarped dome looking thing, I think. So it was like really like the sound bouncing off of that was really hard to like. I thought the ball was over to my left, but actually it's over to the right. Like it was, I found that really hard to adjust to. Um, Also, and like there's so much to pay attention to with blind soccer. Like you're listening for the sound of the ball. You're like everyone's screaming the word "voy," which you during play, whenever you don't have the ball, you have to yell the word "voy," which means like "I'm here" or "go" or something in Spanish. So it lets the other players kind of know where everyone else is on the field, so then you don't, in theory, crash into each other as much. Um, so like getting used to saying that felt really weird until I got like bumped the first time. Then I realized the point of it. Um, like there's so much to pay attention to, and then like you're trying to find the ball and you're trying to like keep yourself orientated on the field and like you're we run with what we call like bumpers, so our arms are up kind of in front of us rather than kind of down by our sides when we run to kind of block any impact.
Hmm.
So like running like that alone was weird, let
Yeah.
alone everything else involved. Um, and then like even though I can't see anything, I still had to wear the eye shades, and that like just having something like that on my face was an adjustment. Like there were so many things. And then it happened that during that first practice, there was a big volleyball tournament on the other side of the dome. So we're trying to listen for the ball and the other players while there's this tournament happening. So like it was kind of like double whammy there a bit. So I remember feeling like took the eye shades off. We were done the practice, and like I just felt like very like exhausted, but in a good way. Um, but like also kind of like mentally like whoa, that was a lot to pay attention to for 2 hours or whatever the practice was.
Hmm.
So it's definitely a lot to like pay attention to at the start, but then you just kind of get into it and like oh, it's just like soccer, cool, let's go. So yeah.
Ramya, do you remember your first blind soccer practice?
I do actually, because our captain of the team, the national team, Hillary, was there, and I pretty much walked in having no idea what this would be like, what blind soccer was. Like I had a call with Matt before coming to practice because I wanted to know this was legit. But I had very little idea of what it meant to play an organized sport. Honestly, I didn't play organized sports growing up, so I grew up in like an integrated school system and education system and had a lot of physical activity experience with my brothers and just, horse playing. But I've never been part of a team or played sports. It was kind of a thing where you get exempted out
Hmm.
of. So I was like, okay, I really want to try this. I don't know why. I was just going through whatever, and I was like, I really want to try some kind of physical activity like this. And I went to practice, and I had no idea how to put my foot on the ball, like the
Mm.
sensation of kind of learning what it means to kick a ball had to be taught to me from scratch. So it like a lot of people, you asked earlier about what it's like for sighted people to put eye shades on and try blind soccer. A lot of our players who have some level of sight, there's kind of this conversation around like, oh, but you still have soccer intuition, oh, like you seem to know what soccer is. Like, you have soccer in your muscles. You just have to learn how to gear that and adapt it towards blind soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for me, it's kind of the complete opposite. I'm just like, I'm cool with contact. I run around a lot and I have like body awareness and spatial awareness, but I have no idea how to play soccer. I have no idea what it means to take a ball off someone, pivot, turn, shoot, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It has to be constant practicing, repeating over and over again until I can do it with confidence. But that like physical skill level is a completely different thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm curious about a few things. So honestly, it sounds really draining because it sounds like there's this physical component, but then this focus and listening for the ball and listening to, and trying to orient yourself and where the ball is. I mean, it must be both physically and mentally draining.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was. Like especially that first one, like I said, like I almost felt like I had a headache after, but partly I think it was like just to be fair, the dome gets so hot that was a big part of it too. But like you said, like the physical part of like running around, trying to find the ball, keep yourself oriented, and then like the kind of mental side of that, right? And like I definitely felt it both like in my body, but also in my head. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. Definitely learning to go through an hour and a half of practice with eye shades on, or if we're going to get even more closer to our trip to India, patching your eyes and then having your eye shades on top of that, it is draining. It's
Hmm.
mentally exhausting. You have to kind of the focus level, the tracking of the ball, the trust, instead of like, running away and freezing, the trust that you still know how to play this game and can trust your teammates, all that kind of stuff takes a lot of effort and repetition.
The other thing I'm kind of curious about, because sound and the environment is so important, do you practice in different environments to sort of to compensate for that? Because it sounds like it's kind of might be a very different experience playing it, say, indoor as opposed to outdoor.
Yeah, I think Matt can attest to this being like a wine session from a lot of the players. Why? Why do we have volleyball players here today?
Yes, the other noise distractions certainly aren't ideal. Typically in international competition, it will be outdoors, so that you lose that kind of acoustic reverberation off of whatever walls or ceilings might be around. But obviously we're in Canada, so we spend more of our soccer season, particularly in Ontario, more of our soccer season indoors than outdoors. Um, so we sort of have adjusted and grown to it, certainly in southern Ontario. But with the excessive heat over the last couple of years, it's actually been more preferable to play indoors out of the heat and the direct sunlight when we're training. So as coaches, we're very aware of, for example, so Gillian had mentioned the dome. So if you're near the sides of the dome, there's a lot more reverberation there versus the middle of the dome. It's a 70-foot high ceiling. So in the middle, it's a little bit better and sort of less reverberation or bounce back of the noise. And then we also think of things like not using lots of balls. So if it was I don't know, a U15 boys sighted soccer session, probably all of the lads would have a ball at their feet and be dribbling around in a warm up or even in some of the drills. But with blind soccer, we'll be maybe one, two, three balls at a time. So there's not that overload of noise happening. Um, Often you get invited to do a session or a demonstration in a school gym, which are usually the worst places because the walls are tight and close, the ceiling's low, you've got kids chattering away in the background. And then the ball, when it's rolling on a hard court floor, is then making even more noise, and just making it that much more complicated. So being aware of the environment we're in is really important. I just wanted to jump back to what Jill was saying, and you were sort of talking about the information overload. So if the person on the field has the ball at their feet, they don't need to say anything. They don't need to use this word voy because they know where the ball is. But even in that moment, their concentration is on control of the ball. But then if they hear a voice coming towards them, they need to be able to discern if that's one of their teammates and they can let them kind of move on. Or if it's an opposition player saying the same word, now they've got to protect the ball and shield it from them. And then if they go nearest the side of the field where the boards are, it gets a little bit louder there. You can have moments where you've got 2 or 3 players all trying to get to the ball, all saying voy. But meanwhile, the coach on the sideline or the goalkeeper or the guide behind the net that you're attacking is also trying to communicate information across the field. So there's an awful lot going on behind those eye shades for the players to discern. And so one of the really important things for the sighted participants, which would be the goalkeeper, the head coach and the guide, is to really think about what they communicate and when they communicate it so that it has the maximum impact and we don't just overload the players with a whole bunch of shouting that just makes things even worse.
What you just said about how you've got to recognize your teammate's voice. Like that sounds really hard, especially maybe internationally if people speak different languages, there's an accent. I don't know, maybe that's easier, but I mean, how is that?
So it was funny because the first time that I went to Toronto for a practice, I hadn't met, like I didn't know anyone on the team. I didn't know the coach. I didn't know anyone. So like everyone's voice is new to me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like everyone's saying boy. I'm like, you all sound like the birds from Finding Nemo, right? Like, I can't tell your voices apart. So I'm like, I kind of hope you're like, you can kind of tell who's on your team because like they're more kind of behind you or beside you in theory. So like if someone's running at you, usually like okay, that's probably someone from the opposite team,
right?
But when like in India, like you're right, like every team was from a different country and like had a different accent, and we were kind of like laughing because all their voice sounded slightly different.
Yeah.
They draw out the word or like make one sound a little bit sharper or something. So we were kind of laughing at that, like, oh, there's Japan, like they sound different, or oh, there's Turkey, like whatever it was.
There's
So
also
that
a
did
lot
help a
more
bit.
communication than voy on the field, by
Okay.
the way. We didn't really get into it yet, but in blind soccer, you're also getting communication from the goal guide, which is the person behind the attacking net, and they're calling to the attackers uh, when it's in that third of the field to say like, okay, here's center, you can shoot now, there's someone in front of you, whatever the communication is. There's also your goalkeeper who communicates with the defense, right? So Jill and I had a lot of communication from our goalkeeper in India, Mackenzie and Cassandra, the two of them. So they would talk to us to, tell us where to go or who to track and that kind of thing. And then you have Coach Matt on the side of the field in the middle, in midfield, talking to whoever's in the mid third. So you also get like actual instruction from sighted people outside and goalkeeper. But that's on top of us communicating with each other as well to let each other know where we're at or calling each other back to position,
Well, and we
etc.
also came like before, like when we were getting like preparing for India, we also came up with different like gameplays,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So like let's
Set plays and
say
stuff,
like
yeah.
our goal, for example, like our goalkeeper she was going to throw the ball up the field, so she'd yell a certain term, and then us like me and Ramya, for example, like as a defense, would then yell that term so our forward players would hear it to know what play like where the ball's going to go. Because she would like Mackenzie or Cass would throw the ball like up left side, right side, or center. So then to let our forwards, because like the goalkeeper can't communicate with the players outside of her zone. So like the goalie can't communicate, or sorry, let me rephrase this. The goalie can only communicate with our defense. Matt, who's in the midfield, can only kind of communicate in that little area. I shouldn't say little, that area. And then our goal guy can only communicate with like the forward players. So it's up to the players to communicate with each other to let them know what's happening, what the play is going to be, that kind of thing. So
Wow.
yeah.
So
So there's a lot happening.
that is a lot to keep track of. I'm intimidated now. Matt, maybe can you just kind of give us an overview of like how blind soccer is different from regular soccer? Because we kind of skipped over that and I feel like we're getting pieces of it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure. It's well, I always get confused because there are so many different types of, for me, sort of regular soccer that are out there, which is what I love about the game, that it's that adaptable. Um, but blind soccer really borrows a lot from futsal, which is the sort of the official indoor version of soccer. So they play on a field that is 40 meters long and 20 meters wide. And along the long sides of the field are rebound boards at about a meter high, and they help keep the ball in play more often, so it's not going out all the time for throw-ins. Um, but also it helps because there's that little bit of echo off the boards, so the players know when they're getting nearest to the boards or where the ball is, depending on how it's sounding on the field. So the field is a little bit bigger than a basketball court, if you like, and we play with some other futsal rules, so it's a heavier ball. So for example, for the World Cup next year, the players would all be using a size 5 football. For us, we use a size 4, and it's also weighted. So it's a little bit heavier, means it stays on the ground a lot more and really kind of focuses the players on a dribbling type of game versus just kicking the ball long down the field. So it's very much focused on dribbling and shooting versus sort of the passing style of game that you might see in other forms of soccer. And as Gillian had so eloquently described, that the field is divided into those thirds where the players can run freely anywhere they want to, but the communication is controlled within those thirds. And the goalkeeper who's sighted is limited to a relatively small penalty box or penalty area. So they can't come out of that. And if they do, it would be a free kick to the opposing team. And again, similar to futsal, we have accumulated fouls. So once you get to 5 fouls, the fifth and any foul after that would be a penalty kick to the other team. So you have to be really focused and aware of your discipline to make sure that you don't get an accumulation of fouls. And that resets itself in each half. But right before half time, you don't want to give away that penalty kick and give the other team a free opportunity at a shot on your goalkeeper. So that's really sort of the gist of it. So smaller field than what we typically see on sort of pro league soccer on the TV, but a very skilled dribbling game. And as the girls have both mentioned, quite physical as well. Sometimes similar to hockey when you get up against the boards and you're trying to fend off a player that's maybe twice the height or twice the weight of you that's trying to squeeze you against the boards. So our players and Gillian Ramya were fantastic at it in defense of being very strong back there, and being real nuisances, bugging the other players to get the ball off of them or make it very difficult for them to get a clean shot.
I'm just curious, how old is the sport and what country was it first originated in?
The kind of the international sort of understanding is that Spain introduced the sport back in the 60s. And that's why we use the word voy as sort of an homage to them from the verb I go. So that's sort of a nod to the founders of the sport. But in the last 20 years or so, since sort of early 2000s, it's really been Brazil, and now sort of Argentina and France that are really taking up the reins and driving the game forward, particularly on the men's side. So that when it was established, very much a men's male sport up until about 5 or 6 years ago, when the International Federation really started to push each of the international Paralympic committees and international federations to start developing a female side of the game. And it's grown really nicely, to the point that we were able to be in this World Championships in October with 7 other international teams. And there were probably another 10 or 15 international teams that either didn't apply to compete at that competition, or are just sort of very early on in their development. So it's growing really well on the female side as well now.
It's rare that women get a team of anything before the men. So how is it that we've got a women's team going to Worlds and not a men's team? I mean, I think it's great, but
Yeah, it's a wonderful question and a very weird history that if I sort of think back to the players that I've come across over the last decade, a little bit more, um, at different times during that process, I've thought to myself, okay, we've got the semblances as starting points of a men's team here. And then it sort of fades away and oh no, now we've maybe got some female players here that could become a team. And so it's just sort of really fortuitous timing in the last 18 months, that we've got a core of females together that are talented, are motivated, are really driven to want to bring this together. And ultimately, that enabled us to get the women's team to be the first one on the international stage. The men might be next year. That would be wonderful. Um, or maybe a couple of years away still. Uh, but having a core group of female players that stayed connected, that wanted to understand and learn more about the game and really take ownership of their own development and understanding how important this was, has really driven us to this point and the opportunity that we had in October, and sort of put a stake in the ground as to the progress of the sport.
so were there men's teams in India as well? It was a like a
Our tournament was just the female world championship, but there was a men's regional competition just at the start of ours, just a three-team tournament. And the week before that, there'd been an international men's tournament at the same location. So they sort of shifted out. There was a break of a few days, and then the women's competition shifted in right after.
okay, cool. Well, let's talk about how you trained to come together as a team to go to Worlds. Like that's a really big deal. Ramya, are all the Ontario players, do you practice together regularly?
Yes, but I would say saying Ontario players is still a bit of a stretch. We have our local practice around Pickering, and we have another club that's kind of kicking off, but regular practices as well in Etobicoke slash close to downtown Toronto. And those two programs are going really well. Um, a, very recreational, but also we have, some upcoming things that we want to reach, like goals we want to reach and things that we're planning for 2026. So all these kind of regular practices are leading to hopefully a bit more of blind soccer in Canada. And then everything else, we're really just building. Like it feels like we have India in our pockets now, like this experience and what it took to get there. And now we just have to keep that momentum going for 2026. And Canada Soccer, shout out to them because they have been very supportive, very helpful. And Sarah, who joined us in India from Canada Soccer, had really like made it her mission to bring the organizations together, Soccability Canada and Canada Soccer, and we have a lot kind of working in that aspects too.
So, um, Jill, you had to come in and play with a group of people who already kind of knew each other.
Mhm.
Like this is a big deal going to World. So you mentioned that you flew out in August, and then
Yeah.
when did you see them again? And how were you preparing on your own?
So yeah, so like the rest of our national team, they like with Ramya, like Hillary's our captain, then Diana and Zara. So there's only five of us. They all play at Pickering together, like roughly every week. So they all played together for at least, I don't know, a few months, if not a year or so. Um, so like like I said, I went and played with them in August, and then like I'm like, cool, I want to be part of the team. Let's go. How do I practice at home? And Matt helped me get connected with the Burnaby Football Club. But because it was just me, it was in a way nice because the coach here, Coach Kevin, it was just one on one with him. So like it was nice that I got one on one. Like he really got some good drills going and footwork and that kind of stuff. But it was like it's not the same as practicing every week with the team.
Mm-hmm.
And like I didn't really have anyone to try and like defend the ball from or like that kind of stuff. But then unfortunately, Coach Kevin wasn't able to help me for like right before we went to India in October. So like he wasn't able to help in September. So then I no longer had a coach for the month before we left. So that was kind of like, oh my God, what do I do? But like Matt and Hillary, like our captain, they were really helpful and gave me like a lot of things to try at home. Whether it was just dribbling around my spare bedroom, for example, until I think I made my neighbor downstairs mad because he kept hearing the ball. And then like I went back home to visit my family, so I would like practice in my parents' garage, or I kicked the ball around their very uneven yard, which made it interesting. And like my boyfriend was really good. He'd come like pretend to be my goalie, let me take some shots on him. Or like my stepdad and I were kicking the ball around, like passing it around to practice like passing and stuff. So my like training experience was very unorthodox, very not normal. And that's why we're trying to eventually grow this blind soccer club within or program within the Burnaby Football Club. So I didn't actually end up practicing with the team again up until right before we left for India. So I actually flew out to Toronto like 5 days before we left for India to go practice with them a couple times. We went up to Lake Joe where the boards are for the field, and we practiced there for the weekend. Kind of a very quick little training camp, literally right before we left, which was also like, I'm not sure about anyone else, but that was my very first time playing with boards as well. So like, let's play with boards for the first time, and then okay, let's go to India for a world championship. Like, it was like, I don't know what's going on, but we're just gonna roll with it. Yeah, so it was my training was it's kind of however I can make it happen. A lot of it was just me practicing dribbling, practicing like turns. So hopefully it's gonna be a little more consistent moving forward in the new year. So
Okay, so let's talk about Worlds then. You got there. How was that experience? I'd love to hear from all of you with you.
okay, yeah. So actually the travel was like crazy. So it was my first international trip ever. First of all, it was the first time I've ever left the continent. Like, so that was kind of wild in itself because like I was in Toronto for 5 days, and then we as a team traveled from Toronto to Abu Dhabi, which was like what 13 and a half hour flight, something like that. So that was wild. And then we had a layover in Abu Dhabi, and then flew to Kochi, India, which is the southern coast. And however all the math ended up being, it took us like 20 something, like 22 hours, 24 hours, almost 2 days, like full 2 days of travel. It was insane. And then and I was always saying the kind of nice thing about the way it worked out is like we kind of hit the ground running. We got to Kochi like in the evening at night, and then the next day we had 3 days of practice before the tournament started. So we like didn't really have a choice but to adjust quickly to the time zone, which for BC it was 12 and a half hours ahead. So that was crazy. But then also like adjusting to the heat and the humidity, and just like the traffic and just like the culture, and like there's so many things to adjust to, and like we did it so quickly. And then we went through classification, and I think that was most of all of our first times going through like an official international like classification system. So that was interesting because I've never done it, and I didn't really know that there'd be like an eye exam sort of thing. So I'm like, oh, cool. And I was laughing because they're like, inconsistent light perception. I'm like, I could have definitely told you that. But and then we had games right away. So we played Argentina for our first game, then Japan, Turkey, and then Poland. And we had 1 day off in between the Turkey and Poland game. And we did like a big whoever wanted to from the team could go do like a big kind of tour around Kochi, which ended up being, I think, a lot longer than we were expecting. So it wasn't exactly the most restful of days. And then we finished our last game and like headed home. I think it was the next day, if I remember correctly. So it was like so many things back to back. Like just it was like chaos, but in the best way ever. So, yeah.
You're bringing me back. You're bringing me back to my competitive sport days. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed you were allowed to do a day of sightseeing in the middle. We were never allowed, not
Oh,
till
really?
the competition was over. So yeah.
Yeah.
Ramya, how was it for you?
Well, it was a lot, I will say that. We have been planning for India, or like the likes of India, like the hypothetical of doing something like this. We've been dreaming about it. We've been excited about it. We've always had it in the back of our minds. But then when we locked it in and sent in our confirmation that we're going to be sending a team from Canada, it's just been a grind. So it felt like we were like eat, breathe, sleep soccer. That's
Mhm.
what it felt like for the last year. And it was
But we
so
had
much
team meetings twice a week too, right? Through
twice a
Zoom.
week,
Yeah.
team meetings. Yeah, exactly. Like gathering on WhatsApp and Zoom and Teams to like get everybody from everywhere on calls and keep cohesive. But also showing up to every single practice and like hosting sleepovers so that we can all show up on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays.
Mm.
And then like actually making it to India, travel plans and coordination and all that stuff. All this, by the way, without knowing like what the heck is actually India going to be like. Like we had
Mhm.
no idea what we were getting into. We could just kind of imagine or be nervous or excited, but it doesn't hit you until you have to walk out for your first game.
Hmm.
So it was a very memorable kind of visceral experience. Um, like I remember when Matt was kind of giving us the rundown, like the tech rundown of what it's going to be like to walk out for our first game. And he's like, at 6 p.m. we're going to be here, and 6:20 we walk out, and 6:30 we'd be singing the national anthem, and 7 p.m. kickoff, like that kind of thing. And I was just
Mhm.
like, okay, cool. And then the day of when it was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, like the adrenaline just never stopped for
Mm-mm.
like 2 days straight.
Wow.
Well, and there's so much like emotion to it. Like we've never
Yeah.
been like, as far as I know, none of us have ever been like on any sort of international stage ever. And then okay, we're standing like we have to walk out together. So like we all put our hands on each other's shoulders and we're guided by our goalie. And like we have to stand on the line and sing "O Canada," and there's like five of us, and we have to
In half
scream
in
this,
French.
yeah, in French, by the way, which half of us didn't even know that part. We do now, and for
You.
whatever reason, Matt chose the opera version of "O Canada," so it just kind of like it was crazy. And then like the eye patch, like with even the eye patches and eye shades, we had to have like the official
Yeah.
refs check them to make sure they're
Mhm.
properly put on, and you
Yeah.
can't touch your eye shades or the patches at all after they've been
Yeah.
approved or whatever. So we're like, okay, cool, don't touch your face. And like there's like some people, like an audience of people watching, and like there was just so much emotion because like we knew the steps of what to do, and we've
Mhm.
done this in practice, but playing like walking out that first game, and then all of a sudden that first whistle, like the kickoff goes, the whistle goes, and we're just like, oh, we're
It
literally
was a
playing an
first.
international game right now. And like,
Yeah.
there's a person running at me who like, you're from a whole other country and you've
Yeah.
been playing for a lot longer than I have. And like, oh my God, I just got ran into.
Oh,
Or, oh,
Yeah.
there's
that's
a board. Like, it was just, I think especially that first game, we were all so like, it almost felt like you were shell shocked in a way where it's like,
100% shell shock.
yeah,
The
Mhm.
right?
whole trip was shell shocking. The whole
Yeah, so true.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was because
Norm.
we all went from like very recreational. Like we told
Hmm.
you, what our soccer experience was,
Mhm.
what our athletic experience was. This was our first time. Um, Even competition before India, it was just amongst friends. That's what it
Hmm.
Right.
feels like. We
Yeah.
Yeah.
play neighboring clubs and we play at Lake Joe and we hang out all weekend, and it's not the same. Like we got to
Mhm.
know each other. But when you do something like this, and honestly, like Coach Matt's like steady, kind of
Hmm.
grounded tone through all of this
Oh
is
yeah.
what got us through.
It did. You were so calm the whole time. It's like, you're
Yeah.
good, you're fine. You just fell over, but like, or there's a board, you just smacked yourself
We were
into it. But like,
stressed.
you're
Yeah.
fine. It
Well,
was, yeah.
it's really rare to not have somebody on the team already that's been there, done that, right? So to
Hmm.
go in with a team of like all rookies, basically,
Yeah.
all first timers.
Mhm.
That's crazy. So, Matt, how was that for you?
Um, it was interesting. I wouldn't even say the players were the challenging bit. Like the players were so engaged right from the get-go. Like the fundraising needed to happen to, to be able to afford the flights. That the plan was for nobody to have to incur any kind of cost personally. And so our team captain Hillary really took the ball by the horns there and really drove a lot of the kind of the fundraising and the messaging, email blasts and content that we got out on social media and a silent auction. Um, and then that was supported by the rest of the team to do their outreach within their networks. Um, and that was probably the sort of the challenging bit was trying to make sure that we could financially go. And as Ramir had said, Canada Soccer helped out wonderfully with uniforms so that we all looked the part when we were on the field or on the side of the field coaching, which is a wonderful help to the budget. But that was kind of one of the biggest stresses in the build up. And then we started to have these twice weekly team meetings that included sort of a technical analysis of the teams that we were going to play because we were the dark horses on the world stage for that competition. Nobody really sort of had seen us on any videotape, but we could pull up games for Argentina, Japan, England over the last 2 or 3 years and see who their star players were. Um, so for me, it was really exciting to be able to see our team on that world stage going against the world number one Argentina and see how we'd be able to compete against them. But there's so many other things that came into play because there's not really a playbook on, oh, you're taking an international blind women's soccer team abroad. Here's the
No.
A to Z of what you need to know.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was, I felt I was having to own it and control it, at least for this first trip, to understand exactly what was being asked of everybody and what we all needed to do, so that at future tournaments we'll be able to more easily divide up some of those tasks. Um, so the girls have mentioned about classification, so there's still a need for them to be classified here in Canada before they compete internationally, and that classification only takes 10 or 15 minutes in an ophthalmologist's office. But they have to all be there. We have to sign forms when we're there. Then we have to get the forms back. They have to be uploaded into an international portal. Somebody at the other end of that portal has to sign off to say, yes, we're good with these athletes. They can come. It's like so many little bits and pieces like that made it sometimes quite overwhelming that there was that much documentation or um, things that needed to happen.
Yeah.
So it was almost a sense of relief when we were actually there. We're in the heat. We're on the field. The training sessions are a really nice opportunity to, get a bit of acclimatization, get a feel for the match balls because they were a little bit different to our training balls. As we said before about the sound, get used to what noises might be around that are different to what we might hear in Canada. And then be able to get on the field and actually compete. And the wonderful thing about our sport is the sense of community amongst the other teams and also amongst the match officials and the organizers. Like they were so happy to have us there. They were very supportive with questions we had about, well, why did this decision get made on the field and why do we have to do this before the game? And they're very keen to teach us, and we were very open to learn as much as we could and absorb it. And that's that was kind of really rewarding, that I felt we came out at the end of that tournament having learned so much. And just from hearing what Julian and Rami are relaying now, is just so cool that we have, I don't want to say this it's going to come across wrong, but we have players with a level of engagement and intelligence that they want to understand this and really own it and improve the game rather than just come in and go through the motions of kicking the ball around on a field. Like they're real students of the game, which is what every coach ultimately wants.
Oh, that's awesome. So how was the actual playing? I heard there was some injuries and I imagine there would be, but yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, during one of our the first game against Argentina, Hillary, as you mentioned, who's our captain, very unfortunately broke her hand.
Oh gosh.
I think she just hit the boards wrong, like with her hand. Like you really have to be. The boards are not. They don't have any give. Like you just bounce right off. But however she had her hand was positioned, I think she hit her hand wrong, broke her hand. So Hills was out, and we only had one sub, which was me. So I was expecting like, anything can happen. So I'm like, I'll sub in when someone gets too hot, or that's what I was kind of like, my mindset was.
Yeah.
And then Hills broke her hands. We're like, oh, here, Hills out. Like I went in full time. I'm like, oh my god, that's terrifying. So
And
like
now you guys don't have a
well,
sub.
yeah, we had no sub. And like
Yikes.
the thing is like it had to be like 35, 40 above heat plus humidity, right? So with all the other teams, if their players struggling from the heat, they can just sub them off for another like for a sub.
Mhm.
We didn't have that option. So we're all just like, let alone we're just dying from the heat the whole time. So whenever there was like a timeout or anything, we'd run to the boards where Matt and Sarah were, and Hillary was there for some of it. The other goalkeeper who wasn't in play was also there, and like they'd spray us with little squirt bottles or shove ice down our jerseys or like
Mhm.
ice cold towels just to try and cool us off a bit. But then there's like, at one point, our Mackenzie, our goalkeeper, got a ball to the face, and like a couple of people almost got heat stroke, and like
Oh,
like
jeez.
there's the boards, like at times you're stuck between two other players between the boards, and you're being pushed around into the boards, and like you're, at least in my case, for whatever reason, I like to fall down a lot during games. So it wasn't me if I didn't fall down at least once. So like you get turf burn and you get bumps and bruises, but it, at least for a lot of us, it just kind of fired us up and made us want to fight even harder. And like
Yeah.
if someone pushes off the ball, we're like, no, give it back. Like I want my ball back. So you go like fight to get it back. So like there's definitely some injuries, and you have to be like okay with being kind of bumped around a bit. But like I said, that at least in a lot of our cases kind of fired us up and made us want to fight back. So it worked. It worked out in that way.
Well, I mean, so how did you do?
Ramya, you want to take that one?
Oh, okay. Are we talking about the scoreboard? Because I feel like we've been avoiding that conversation.
Maybe walk through each like our like because each
Yeah,
game
okay.
we
So
progressed.
first
So
game
yeah,
was tough. Oh, you guys have to remind me who we played in what
Argentina
order,
first.
though. Okay. Argentina, we played first game, and that was really tough. They are the world champions.
Oh, so
And we
started
are
off easy then.
Yeah,
so
really.
Matt, what did you call it? The pool of death? Um,
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, it was an 8-team tournament, two pools of four, and our team included Argentina and Japan and Turkey and Canada. Turkey, sorry. And Argentina and Japan are literally the champions, the world champions. They're top three. They went home with gold and bronze this tournament as well.
Oh.
So we played Argentina first. That was a 5-0 game. Then we played Japan next day. Again, 5-0 game. And then we played Turkey, and that was fun. What was the score on that, guys?
That was 1-0 or
One
1-0 for
Oh,
them. So we
that's
did better. We
good.
did a lot better at that
That's
Yeah,
point.
really good.
We got more
we
comfortable though, is the thing. Like each game we got more comfortable. We kind of figured out how play works. So we just settled in more. So that
Mhm.
I think helped.
exactly.
We got confident going in,
And
going
obviously we
further
were
into it.
way more well matched. Turkey, this
Yeah.
was their first time sending a team as well. So
Okay.
and then Poland was our last game. That was our best game, in my opinion.
Hmm.
It was also 1-0, but we kept it at 0-0 through the entire game, took it to shootouts, and
Oh.
scored our. Sorry, it was 2-1 was the final score because we scored our first goal for Canada.
Oh.
And that was Hillary. So shout out to Hillary because she came back after her.
Oh, she got to come back in for the shootout. That's
Yes,
Hmm.
awesome.
it was wicked.
But the
So
shootout was
her.
insane.
The
Yeah.
shootout went 17 penalty kicks,
Oh
guys.
my
Have you
gosh.
ever
Yeah.
sat through 17 penalty kicks in India in
Stood there on
2018?
the field in the heat for 17 penalty
Oh,
kicks.
All of
wow.
these games are on YouTube, by the way. You can check them
Hmm.
out. And I encourage you to spend 40 minutes on the shootout
Wow.
Yeah.
portion.
During the tournament, they had an opening and closing ceremony as well.
Mhm.
So in true Canada fashion, in the closing ceremony, they had different awards they were giving out, and Canada got the Fair Play Award.
Yes.
So that we thought that was very cool, very Canadian of us.
Good
So,
job. Way to represent.
right?
Right?
Wow. Well, congratulations. I mean,
Yeah.
this like good job for pulling a team together and getting there and showing up. And I mean, those last two games were really close games. That's really admirable. I don't know. I think you should be really proud of yourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We are.
we definitely are.
Definitely. Lots of improvements as we went through the tournament, and I sort of explained to a lot of people from my perspective that Fair Play Award is sort of a beautiful moment that is kind of acknowledges the quintessential, I think, Canadian DNA that these women were tough on the field. It was physical. They got flattened. Definitely Ramya and Gillian in certain games got like steamrolled over, but popped back up, got on with it, kept sticking at it. And then to go through that penalty shootout for 17 rounds in that heat was excessive. Our goalkeeper passed out right at the end of the handshakes with the referees at the end.
Wow.
But off the field, our players and our staff were very engaged. We'd chat with the other teams. We'd sit and eat with with the referees or the organisers, and we're just generally good people to have around a tournament. And I think that was respected by the organisers. So the referees are the ones that actually vote on who's going to win that Fair Play Award. So they clearly saw something good in us, and it was it was nice to leave a tournament, as I said, having kind of put that stake in the ground, and not left any kind of regret out there on the field. I think everybody gave everything they possibly could. And as I told the players a couple of times, you don't want to be stuck at home when there's a foot of snow on the ground outside, thinking back to the heat of India and regretting that you wish you'd have gone back because there was something you didn't do. And I think everybody just gave 110% in every moment that they're on the field. It was a fantastic showing.
And the nice
Awesome.
thing too is like, I mean, we were such a small team, like in the dining room of the hotel where we were staying. Like every other team took up like two, maybe three tables. We took up one, staff included. So we thought that was
Yeah.
kind of funny. But the really nice thing is like the whole team, again, through all the various phone calls and meetings and stuff we had building up to India, like we got to know each other really well. And then during like the training camp at Lake Joe for that weekend, like, and even all through India, like in travel and everything, like, there was the team atmosphere and like like there was no drama.
Camaraderie.
Everyone got
Yeah.
along. No, like if someone was feeling, just really hard on themselves one day because they didn't play as well as if they thought they should have, like the whole rest of the team kind of like rallied around them, boosted them up, like encouraged them. Like we all just really had each other's backs, and that was really nice because I've been in other sports where the atmosphere was not like that, and like you felt really bad for like missing a goal or whatever it was. But
Mhm.
the whole time, and like the travel was exhausting, the games were exhausting, like the heat, everything. But we all just we tried to stay there and be present for each other, and like we did a lot of debriefs. Like we did team meetings before each game of like this is what I was expecting, this is what we're hoping for. We did like kind of debriefs after the game, and like everyone just there's no drama, and everyone just
Nice.
was really positive and helpful. And yeah, like I don't know, and like a lot of us hadn't really met each other before all of this, right? So like we're all relatively new to each other, and just to have like that kind of really positive like team atmosphere, like the
Yeah.
care culture that we brought into that was really really nice to have.
That's great. So what's next for Canadian blind soccer? What's the next goal? What's the plan?
The next thing on our calendar, all being well, is an international competition for the American nations next September in Brazil.
Cool.
So we're planning to have a team meeting in the next week or two to already start talking about that. Again, the fundraising will be a key part of that. We obviously know an awful lot, so some of the challenges we can put fast forward buttons on and move quickly through those. But a key part of this is to grow the program. So we need to find more female players out there. We need to find another Gillian Diamond in the rough out there that we can drag and pull up onto a field and can shine on the world stage. So that's a big part of what we'll be doing over the next few months, is to grow that number of players, because we don't want this to be a Team Canada brackets Ontario players with a token BC player. This needs to be representative of the nation, and we want to find those other players across the country. But Brazil will be our next target, and I know from the chatter, seeing from some of the other countries, they're all excited about getting back there next year. So it should be an exciting challenge.
Well, good luck. How, if somebody is listening and they want to get involved, how do they get how do they get involved?
The easiest way is probably if they visit the Soccability website online, or email inquiries at soccability.ca, and Soccability is Soccability. So soccability.ca. We have a website there with a bit more information about the programs, and particularly the ones that we've got running right now in Ontario. But those emails will come through to me, and then I'm able to direct them to where that local program might be. And just in the case of Gillian, I've got no awkwardness in shaming, a club into starting a program if they don't have one, or providing some field time. If we've got somebody out there that's interested, then I'm happy to lean on a grassroots soccer club and, encourage them to find some space, and hopefully have a coach available that can kind of come and give an hour or 2 hours a week to help develop a player right there in their local community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us today. This has been really awesome to hear about your adventures, and it's brought me back to my sport experience too. I'm feeling a little nostalgic, but congratulations for showing up like that. I don't know. The sport sounds tough, and India sounds hard, and the whole thing sounds pretty challenging. So good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, see, so that wasn't that wasn't too bad for our first attempt at a crossover.
Yeah, sorry, I might have taken too much of the lead there, Rob.
No, it was fine.
I can't help myself.
No, I know, and we do,
especially talking about sports. Well, brings me back.
This is exactly. It's very ironic that the day we were doing a crossover show, I'm the host that's left to talk about the sports episode. So, no, that was great. It's really interesting, and it's really heartening to hear that this sport is gaining some momentum, and where it sounds like they're expanding into some different cities now, trying to start up some new clubs. So it's exciting. But man, I tell you, I couldn't even play like regular soccer, let alone this, because this sounds like 10 times more intensive and dangerous.
Yeah, I would be like Ramya, like, how do I kick? Yeah. I'm that person that never really learned to do that. So to try to like get all those skills and then also be paying attention to all of the other audio information coming in, that definitely sounds like a challenge.
Oh, absolutely. And holy cow, like, talk about trial by fire. Like, their first international match against the number one rated team in the world. Like,
yeah. That's wild.
I think that they should be very, very proud of themselves, and the fact that they hung in there and they finished the tournament strong. It's going to be very exciting to see what's next for them.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So, and what's next for blind soccer? So I fully expect that club in Burnaby. We better see a blind soccer club here in Vancouver pretty quick.
That would be so cool,
right? Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get out of here.
Well, as we wrap up, Rob, where can people find us?
Well, Sean, I'm so glad you asked.
As in you.
They can find us at www.atbanter. And if they want to drop us an email, they can do that at cowbell. Pause for Ryan's cowbell that's not here. At atbanter.com. Excellent. Well, listen, thanks again for stepping in. I hope you have a lovely holiday break. Of course, I'm going to see you like later this week, but
well, you too.
And everybody out there, happy holidays as well. And we will see everybody next
year.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions, as well as physical access solutions and augmentative communication aids across Canada. Find us online at www.canastech.com, or if you're in the Vancouver Lower Mainland, visit our storefront at number 106 828 West 8th Avenue in Vancouver. That's one block off Broadway at Willow. You can reach us by phone toll-free at 1-844-795-8324 or by email at sales@canastech.com.